It was supposed to be our wedding night. I was ready to seal the deal with Chloe Anderson. Instead, her guy bestie, Leo Vance, insisted on sleeping in the middle of our bed. I kicked him in the face and told him to get the hell out. Chloe threw her arms around him, crying that their friendship transcended romance and that she needed him with her, even on her wedding night. Furious, I called the cops and told them Chloe and Leo were planning a group romp. But that was just the start. It turned out to be a massive can of worms. The police uncovered that over 30 married women in town had been having affairs with Leo. For our entire town, it was like the sky itself was falling. This is just a little greasy spoon, buddy. Nobody's ever asked for a serving spoon before. You threw me for a loop there. Here, how about this clean plastic fork? The owner, a plump, good-natured guy, chuckled as he handed it to me. It was already 1 in the afternoon. I'd been with Chloe at the clinic since morning, waiting for her to get tested. After the disaster of our wedding night, I hadn't eaten a thing. I was starving. We just ducked into the first diner we saw. I meticulously used the clean fork to slide half the fries onto a separate plate, pushing it far across the table toward her before motioning for her to sit. Chloe picked up her own fork, but her hands were trembling. It clattered onto the table. Her lips quivered for a long moment before she finally choked out a single phrase. How could this happen? I sighed. Try not to think about it. The results won't be back until this afternoon. Just eat. She slumped onto the table and started to cry, her body shaking with quiet, suppressed sobs that made the other patrons glance over. My own stomach was in knots, but I forced myself to stay calm. I started to reach out to pat her back, then hesitated and pulled my hand back. Instead, I picked up the clean plastic fork I'd used as a server, turned it around, and poked her shoulder with the handle. You and Leo were just friends, I said softly. Don't freak yourself out. Chloe's head snapped up. She watched, her eyes wide and red, as I obsessively wiped the plastic fork with a napkin. But we were so close, she whispered, her voice raw. We ate together, shared things. All the time. What if? She couldn't finish, burying her face in her hands again. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. What was there to say? I tossed the plastic fork into a nearby trash can. Even after wiping it, the thought of it made my skin crawl. Better to just get rid of it. Seeing she was still crying, I balled up a napkin and tossed it onto the table in front of her. Her makeup was a mess. I felt a wave of exhaustion. Stop crying. Wipe your face. After a long time, her sobs subsided into sniffles. If I'm infected, what am I going to do? She whispered, reaching for my hand. Don't touch me. I flinched back like I'd touched a live wire, my whole body recoiling. I stared at her hand, my eyes wide with genuine fear. She snatched her hand back as if burned. Only where her hand was back on the table did I try to soften my tone. It's just HIV, right? If you have it, you have it. You deal with it. Just then, the local news report on the diner's TV caught our attention. We interrupt this program with a breaking news update. Recently, a local man, identified as Leo Vance, caused a major disturbance on the night of another couple's wedding. The behavior was described as highly erratic. After responding to a disturbance call, police took Mr. Vance into custody on suspicion of disorderly conduct. A routine blood test, administered as part of the booking process, revealed the man is a carrier of the HIV virus. Upon further questioning, Mr. Vance admitted to having improper relations with over 30 women in this county. HIV is an extremely dangerous infectious disease with no known cure. Mr. Vance, aware of his status, continued to engage in high-risk behavior, knowingly endangering others. He has been arrested and is expected to be charged with reckless endangerment to public safety. We strongly urge any individuals who may have been in contact with this person to seek immediate medical testing to ensure their health and safety. Hearing this, the last bit of color drained from Chloe's face. She looked like a ghost. Her hands began to shake uncontrollably, and her body swayed as if she were about to collapse. You slept with him, didn't you? You didn't use a condom? I asked, staring at her. Her best friend tests positive for HIV, and she looks like this. Even an idiot could put 2 and 2 together. The purity she was always going on about was clearly a load of crap. A gut-wrenching sob escaped her. It took a while before she could choke out the words. Mark, I'm so sorry. Leo said he was heartbroken that I was getting married. I let out a long breath. In a twisted way, I was lucky. Chloe had spent our entire relationship feeding me lines, her favorite being, "I want to save the most beautiful part of myself for our wedding night." We'd barely held hands, let alone done anything else. I almost had to thank her for sparing me. We'd been together for 3 years. 2 months in, I'd stupidly asked her to marry me. She kept putting it off until last month, when she finally agreed, on the condition that we have the wedding but wait to file the official marriage license. I'd been so desperate I'd agreed. I never imagined it would lead to this. I gave a bitter laugh. "You don't have to be sorry, and you don't have to call me Mark anymore. It's not like we're legally married." "You're disgusted by me. You're leaving me?" she asked, her eyes swimming with tears, her lip trembling. "Well, let's not use harsh words. I was never really with you to begin with, and I'm not discriminating against you. I'm not disgusted," I said, pinching the bridge of my nose, trying to sound as sincere and politically correct as possible. "Then why are you sitting so far away?" Before I could answer, she started to stand up, her hands slightly raised as if to embrace me. "Can you just hold me? Put your hands down," I yelped, jumping back like a scalded cat. All pretense of kindness vanished. "Sit down, we can talk, but just sit down." Feeling I'd been too harsh, I tried to backpedal. "It's my upbringing. I'm not comfortable with public displays of affection." Chloe just shook her head, fresh tears streaming down her face. You're lying. Ever since we found out about Leo, you've been avoiding me. You were never like this before. You used to be all over me like a horny teenager." I felt my face flush. "And you never let me get anywhere. My family doesn't believe in sex before marriage. My family doesn't believe in making out. My family doesn't believe in holding hands. My family doesn't believe in seeing each other too often. My family doesn't believe in." That was the soundtrack to my last 3 years with Chloe. The reason I fell for her was simple. She was beautiful, quiet, and didn't seem needy. I never stopped to notice that every time she was pushing me away, Leo had his arm wrapped around her waist. "I know I was wrong. I really do. Please, don't leave me, okay?" she pleaded, her voice a wet, ragged mess. Seeing my cold, distant expression, she grew desperate. Her eyes wild, she raised a hand and slapped herself hard across the face. The crack echoed in the diner. A trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. "I shouldn't have betrayed our relationship. I shouldn't have had a guy bestie," she choked out between sobs. "I'm so scared. I don't know if I have it. Just give me one more chance. If you forgive me, I swear, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll never be so stupid again." As Chloe was speaking, a loud thump came from the table next to us, followed by the scraping of chairs. We both looked over. A middle-aged couple had been eating quietly beside us. Now, the woman was on her knees, first tearing at her hair with a guttural howl, then slapping her own face repeatedly. Across from her, the man stood rigid, his face a mask of fury. The woman's face was a wreck of tears and snot. She clung to the man's pant leg, babbling, "Gary, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Please don't tell anyone. My son's about to get engaged. If this gets out, what's going to happen?" Gary was shaking with rage, the veins in his neck bulging. He violently kicked her hand away. "Brenda, you're really something else. You shameless bitch. You're scared now. Where's this fear when you were screwing around with that Leo kid? Were you thinking about your son then? Were you thinking about your family?" "Leo." A sudden hush fell over the diner. All eyes snapped toward the couple. People started whispering like a disturbed hive. The young guys at the table behind me stood up to get a better look. I glanced at Chloe. Her eyes were wide, her mouth hanging open. I guess Leo got around. Brenda's crying grew more pathetic. She crawled on her knees and grabbed Gary's leg again, her voice cracking with desperation. "Gary, I was a complete idiot. I swear, Rick and I have been fighting all the time. I was miserable, and Leo, he just swooped in, saying all the right things. I wasn't thinking straight. I swear I wasn't. I was confused. Who was Rick?" Her voice was hoarse as she gestured wildly. "My son is my whole life. If this gets out, the wedding is off. His whole life will be ruined. Gary, please, for the sake of everything we meant to each other, just this once. Let's just bury this, please." The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. "Wait, I don't get it. Who's Gary? Who's Rick? I'm lost." Gary's eyes were bulging, his chest heaving like a bellows. He bent down, grabbed Brenda by the collar, and hauled her to her feet. You dare mention your son? You're not fit to be a mother. With that, he drew back his fist and punched her square in the eye. Brenda grunted, her body slumping to the side like a puppet with its strings cut. A dark bruise instantly began to form. She didn't even try to dodge. She just stumbled back toward him. Gary sidestepped and kicked her hard in the stomach. Brenda cried out and crumpled to the floor in a heap. This was getting brutal. A few people in the crowd muttered for him to stop, but no one stepped in. Gary paid them no mind. He pointed at the woman on the floor and roared, "You disgraceful tramp. It wasn't enough to ruin your own life. You had to take everyone down with you. Today, I'm doing Rick a favor. I'm doing your son a favor. I'm going to teach you a lesson." Brenda lay on the floor, clutching her stomach, whimpering, "Stop, Gary, please." But the fists and feet kept coming, each blow a release of his contempt and rage. The crowd started buzzing again. So Gary isn't her husband. He's beating her like he owns her, though. You wouldn't beat your own wife like that. The other man beating the cheating wife. He's acting like he's the one who was wronged. As I was shaking my head at the bizarre spectacle, a man in a tank top burst through the diner door, dropping a bag of groceries. "Stop it! What the hell are you doing to my wife?" he yelled, rushing forward. "Brenda, what's going on here?" Hearing the man's voice, Brenda froze. She looked up, her eyes filled with terror and despair. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Gary sneered. "Rick, you're still in the dark, aren't you? Your wife here was sleeping with that kid Leo, the one with AIDS. Now she's probably got it, too. If the clinic hadn't called me, I'd still be in the dark, right along with you." The words hit the room like a bomb. The diner erupted in gasps and frantic whispers. Rick's face went white. His hand went limp, and the groceries spilled across the floor. He stared at Brenda, his eyes looking like they were about to shoot flames. Is what he's saying true? Brenda broke down completely, banging her head on the floor. I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to our son. I don't know what came over me." Rick's chest heaved. He raised his hand and brought it down across Brenda's face in a vicious slap. "How could you be so shameless? You've destroyed this family. You've destroyed everything." Brenda crumpled to the floor from the force of the blow, blood trickling from her lip. She just lay there, her body racked with gut-wrenching sobs. Rick's hands were trembling, the muscles in his face twitching uncontrollably. He shot Brenda one last look of pure hatred, as if he wanted to tear her apart with his bare hands. Then he spun around and staggered out of the diner, his steps unsteady but final. Seeing him leave, Brenda ignored the pain in her face and scrambled to her feet, stumbling after him. "Rick, wait for me, please." Gary stood alone, watching them go. He let out a heavy sigh. So much for true love. The faithful always get screwed. He shook his head and walked out. As the three of them disappeared, the diner buzzed back to life. What the hell? Rick just left. Wait, so Gary was the other man. Why didn't anyone call him out? Call him out for what? If you ask me, the guy's a romantic. Yeah, you heard him at the end, quoting poetry and shit. Wow, his wife cheats, and Gary's the one talking about true love. I feel like he's the one who got cheated on, I muttered, shaking my head. It was so absurd it was almost funny. "You're not going to hit me, are you?" Chloe asked meekly, trying to inch closer to me again. "Why would I hit you?" I said, standing up and backing away. "Just talk. Don't get physical. You wouldn't hit me, would you?" The exact same words came from the next table, catching my attention. A heavy-set young woman was looking at the guy next to her. The guy paused, then gently patted her hand. "Tiffany, don't be silly. I'd never hurt you." "Kevin, everyone says I'm not good enough for you," she said, her voice wobbling. "They say I'm ugly and fat and have acne." Curious, I took a closer look. She did have a lot of acne. "Don't listen to them. You're beautiful to me. More beautiful than her," Tiffany asked, pointing a finger straight at Chloe. Caught off guard, Chloe just blinked. The situation was getting awkward. I couldn't help myself. "Hey kid, it's not polite to point." Seeing Kevin hesitate, Tiffany's temper flared. "You hesitated. You do think I'm ugly." Kevin went into panic mode, quickly putting his arm around her. "Tiffany, no, you misunderstood. I didn't hesitate. In my heart, there's only you. Don't think crazy things." But she shoved his arm off, tears welling in her eyes. "You're just saying that. You've been regretting being with me from the very beginning. Are all women this irrational?" I thought. I couldn't take it anymore and chimed in, Hey, you're not being fair to him. It's not all about looks. What's on the inside is what matters. Some people are pretty on the outside, but they're rotten to the core. Kevin nodded eagerly, seizing the opportunity. Exactly. It's your personality I fell in love with. You're the best person I know. But Tiffany wasn't listening. She was getting more and more worked up, tears and snot running down her face, her whole body shaking. You're just trying to placate me. I don't believe you. You regret being with me. She started flailing, throwing punches and kicks. Kevin dodged left and right, looking helpless. More people were watching now. Kevin's face was beet red with embarrassment, and he was clearly terrified Tiffany was about to cause a huge scene. Pushed to his limit, he did the unthinkable. With a loud thump, he dropped to his knees in the middle of the diner. His eyes were red as he cried out, "Tiffany, I'm begging you. Please stop. I swear to God my feelings for you are real. If I'm lying, may I be struck by lightning." "Then who's prettier, me or her?" Tiffany demanded, pointing at Chloe again. "You. No matter who you compare yourself to, it's always you," Kevin said without a fraction of a second of hesitation, his eyes locked on hers. Tiffany sniffled but pressed on. "If your mom and I both fell in a river, who would you save?" "You," Kevin blurted out instantly. Still not satisfied, she asked, "What about me and your dad? Why would you and my dad be at a river alone? Just answer the question." Kevin stepped forward on his knees and gripped her hands tightly, his voice rising. "You. I'd save you. If my entire family tree fell in that river, I wouldn't even give them a second look. I'd only save you." "You're so good to me," Tiffany said, finally sounding pleased, but she still wasn't done. "What if I got sick? It would cost all your money to treat me, with no guarantee I'd get better. What would you do?" Kevin's eyes were glistening. He stared right at her and said, without flinching, "I'd treat you. I'd sell everything we have to treat you. As long as there's a chance, I don't care about anything else." Tiffany bit her lip, as if steeling herself, and then dropped the bomb. "What if I cheated on you? Would you still want me?" A collective gasp went through the crowd. I had to laugh. With a face full of zits and that personality, who in their right mind would cheat with her? Kevin seemed to sway on his knees, but he recovered in an instant. His voice was hoarse but firm. "Tiffany, if you made a mistake like that, as long as you were willing to come back, I'd be here waiting. We'd figure it out together." "Look at him," Chloe whispered, as if she'd found a lifeline, trying to get me to be as forgiving as Kevin. Tiffany looked genuinely moved, on the verge of tears, but she stubbornly asked one last question. What if I had someone else's baby?" The air in the diner seemed to freeze. Kevin's hands fell limply to his sides. All the color drained from his face. He struggled to speak. "Tiffany, no matter what, just be honest with me. If you still want to be with me, we can face it together. I can't lose you." Tiffany stared at Kevin, taking in his pathetic, desperate devotion. Then she let out a loud wail and threw herself into his arms. "I was wrong, Kevin. After what you just said, I have to tell you a secret. But first, you have to promise you'll forgive me, no matter what it is, okay?" Oh my God, she actually has a secret. I blurted out loud. Kevin, worn down by her relentless assault, looked like a broken man. He gritted his teeth. "Fine, tell me." A blush spread across Tiffany's face. She fidgeted for a moment before mumbling, I'm pregnant." She paused, her head bowed, her voice barely a whisper. "It's Leo's." "What, who?" Chloe and I yelled in unison, staring at her as if she'd just set off a firecracker. "Leo, from the TV." "Are you serious?" Kevin asked, his voice trembling. "Yeah." Smack. Kevin's hand flew up and cracked across Tiffany's face. The sound silenced the entire room. He scrambled to his feet and turned to leave, stunned by the slap. Tiffany stood frozen for a second before bursting into tears. Ignoring the stinging pain in her cheek, she lunged forward and grabbed his arm. "Kevin, don't go. Let me explain." He tried to shake her off, roaring, "Let go. What is there to explain? Look at what you've done." Tiffany was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe, but she held on for dear life. "Kevin, I was lying. I'm not pregnant. There's no Leo. I was just being stupid. I was so afraid of losing you. I made up the craziest thing I could think of to test you." "Really?" Kevin's brow was furrowed with suspicion, his voice shaking. Tiffany nodded frantically. Yes, really. I shouldn't have been so crazy. I've always been so insecure, thinking I'm not good enough for you. That's why I keep testing you. I never thought I'd hurt you this badly. She fumbled with her purse, her hands shaking as she dug through it. Finally, she pulled out a piece of paper, a lab report, and held out to him. Look, see, I'm not pregnant. Kevin glanced at the paper, his frown deepening. I've never even slept with you. Why would you get a pregnancy test? Seeing the fury on his face, Tiffany did the only thing she could think of. She dropped to her knees again with a sickening thud. She hugged his legs tightly, looking up at him, tears pouring from her eyes like a broken dam. Kevin, I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. It really was just that one time. I barely know Leo. I didn't even know his name until I saw his picture on the news. I don't know how I got pregnant. Please, give me one more chance. I swear I'll never act like this again. I'll be good to you, I promise. Kevin was shaking with rage, his eyes bloodshot. He tried to pull his leg away, screaming, Let go of me, you hear me. But her grip was like a vice. Finally snapping, he started yelling, You crazy woman! You keep destroying what we have. I've had enough. He balled his fists and started hitting her on the back and shoulders. Tiffany grunted in pain, but refused to let go. People in the diner started shouting, Hey man, take it easy. But Kevin was too far gone to listen. Tiffany just kept sobbing, pleading, Kevin, I'm sorry, don't leave me. He wasn't moved. With one final, violent jerk, he broke free. Tiffany went sprawling on the floor. Kevin didn't even look back. He stormed out of the diner, leaving her crying hysterically on the dirty linoleum. Chloe was speechless, her mouth agape. It took her a long moment to recover. She looked at me timidly. So, are you going to hit me? No, I said flatly. I was done. Thanks to Leo, I just sat through a double feature of absolute train wrecks. I had no energy left for a third act. Chloe frowned, her eyes filled with a confused hope. Why not? You do still love me, don't you? I shot her a cold look. I'm afraid if I hit you, you might bleed, and HIV spreads through bodily fluids. I turned away, not wanting to look at her for another second. The air around us felt toxic. Chloe looked as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She started to tremble, her lips quivering as fat tears rolled down her cheeks. I don't know how it got like this. She whispered. Leo and I, we were just best friends at first. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. Best friends? Don't be such a hypocrite. What about all the times you ditched me for him? My words seemed to hit a nerve. Her crying stopped for a second, and a flash of panic crossed her face. She waved her hands defensively. It wasn't like that. But for him, you were willing to keep me at arm's length, saving your purity. I shot back, my voice dripping with contempt. I could never figure it out. If you were fine with meeting him, holding his hand, hugging him, kissing him, even sleeping with him, then why the hell did you need me as a boyfriend? What was the point? Was I just a cover story, so you could do whatever you wanted? With a sob, Chloe dropped to her knees, clasping her hands together as if in prayer. I was wrong. I know I was wrong, but you're all I have left now. I'll sleep with you. I'll do anything. I swear I'll only be good to you from now on. The diner patrons, already stunned by the previous two scenes, gasped collectively as Chloe hit the floor. What's going on today? Did I walk into some kind of cult meeting? Good Lord, another one on her knees. Don't tell me. It was Leo again. Leo. Doesn't sound like much of a lady killer's name. Oh crap. My wife has a Leo in her contacts. Dude, what are you still doing here? Go home. Six listening to the crowd chatter. I was overcome with embarrassment and dread. Get up, I hissed. If you're not ashamed, I am. Get off the damn floor. Chloe didn't seem to hear me. She just kept crying and begging. Please forgive me this one time. I know I was wrong. I'll change, I promise. I turned to leave, but the crowd of onlookers blocked my way. Just then, some busybody yelled out, Come on, man. The girl's on her knees. Give her a break. I spun around and glared at him. You have no idea what you're talking about. She might have AIDS. Hey, don't be so dramatic, another voice from the crowd shouted. Medical science is amazing these days. It's a tough disease, but it's manageable. Give her a chance. Give yourself a chance. She cheated on me. She betrayed my trust. What kind of chance is that? I yelled back. An older woman pushed her way to the front. Everyone makes mistakes, son, she said, her tone gentle. She knows she was wrong. She's begging you for forgiveness. That must mean she cares about you. Cheating is wrong, of course, but are you just going to throw away everything you had together? Give her a chance. Maybe you can work through it. She never even let me touch her before she cheated. She treated me like a pathetic loser. You weren't married. She didn't owe you anything, a man in glasses countered, stepping forward. That's all right. Trying to pressure someone into sleeping with you isn't exactly moral, either. She cheated on me with her guy best friend. That did it. The crowd, which had been a mix of opinions, suddenly went silent. The few people who had been defending her now looked embarrassed and shook their heads. Oh, well, that's just too much. Yeah, that's disgusting. The girl looked so sweet, too. Can't believe she'd play games like that. Kid's got a good temper and would have lost it. If that were my daughter, I'd wring her neck. That's the kind of thing they used to run you out of town for. I had no desire to stand there and listen to the verdict of a jury of diner patrons. I saw a gap in the crowd and shoved my way through. If I stayed in that suffocating room for one more second, I felt like I would choke.